The city spent several years working with the community to come up with a vision and a plan for how the whole Bel-Red area would develop into the future. And part of the plan that they developed included an arts district. The Arts Commission said, we should start right away working on this. There's no reason why we should wait. And so what they did is they said, we have a special priority this year. If you apply to do something in the Bel-Red area, we'll give you top priority. Tomiko saw the ads that we had out for special projects and thought this could be very interesting and submitted a proposal. I think that Tomiko's vision really was compelling. It really drew me into the experience. She has a way of imagining the future that is very different from most other people that I know. She believes in or sees progress as being a series of very, very small steps. And if you just look at a series of steps, it doesn't seem like you're getting far. But then if you step back or look at it over time, you see that real progress has been made. And she did it in a really beautiful, mysterious, magical way with the screens and the lighting after dark in this beautiful, beautiful place. This was in an area that is really not open to the public. And it's a sensitive area. So, there's cattails, it's a wetland and a pond. And the city, protects these areas. And so where there were a lot of concerns about what our work there in setting up and having this project would do to the site. In order to put up the really large sail, this was attached to a couple of snags that were in the water. And to get out to the snags, instead of walking through the pond, the water was maybe 10 inches deep, but there was nothing but mud underneath. It was easier on the pond for us to be in a boat, in a canoe. So that's how we got the screen up there, is we paddled around in a canoe. The one that was closest to land, that actually had some footage taken by BTV of salmon spawning in a local stream. And it's very, very cool, very interesting footage.
There are different kinds. There's lots of different kinds of salmon. Lori can tell you about salmon too, because she talks.
And then the third one was on the very far side of the pond. Really, all it was a large embroidery hoop with a scrim folded into it. And she hung it from a tree, and the way that you saw the projection on that one was by looking through a spotting scope. Some of the projectors were behind the screen, so you got a really nice, bright image. And you really can't do that unless you have solid ground to put the projector on. So the smaller screen that was closer to shore and the little itty-bitty one that was way far out on the snag, those were both rear projection.
If I get that job, that'll be real interesting.
But the large screen, which was like a sail that was 40 feet long, only had water behind it. So that was a front projection. She shot that from the shore out to the screen. One of the things that we did to help guide people into the site was we set up a series of luminaires. So they were just white bags with sand and little tea candles in them. And we lined the edge of the parking lot so people would know where to go with their cars. And then we traced the outline of the entrance. So it made it a kind of an irresistible path once it became dark. It's like, this is where you want to go. And then we also used the luminaires to let people know where the edge was, so that, if they went any further, they'd be standing in water. What we did to make it more festive was not only did we have the luminaires on the ground, but we also had Christmas tree lights strung over the top of the opening.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Just for symmetry's sake? Totally. Good.
So it really was beckoning. It was very welcoming. Part of the display included paper boats made out of a cotton fiber paper that Tomiko and her sister put in the water. The boats had words, and on them, some of the words were taken from a Japanese folk song that they sang in Tomiko's family as she grew up. And then the others were excerpts from the wilderness letter that Wallace Stegner wrote in 1960. I think everybody's familiar with that custom of putting a little boat in the water, which is sort of like a wish that flows away. And so this was Tomiko's version of that activity. If you look at each boat, they would have one word on it. So that all together, some of them she had tied in strings, so if you looked at each boat on a string, theoretically they would have a succession of words on there that would add up to something.
It's invisible thread. Wow, I got busted immediately.
Which feeds right back into her main theme, which is a lot of small gestures over time can add up to something significant. In my opinion, I think it was very successful. We had several goals for this. The first thing you always think about is how good is the art, and I think that the quality of the experience was excellent. It was exceptional. The other goal was to have something happen there that was so interesting that it would get people talking and thinking about Bel-Red as a place where art happens. And so now that the project is completed, we have documentation of the project, and so we're pushing out that information so that people know that this happened and that more could happen in the future.